Hi, my name is Nikki Guy-Dixon, and I teach financial literacy for teens at Crossline High School. Today, I'm going to show you how to use Next-Gen Personal Finance to create a 5E lesson plan. So I hope that this will help you. It's great to use for formal lesson plans or possible even informal lesson plans, and I hope that it helps. So let's dig in. Okay, so now we're going to look at next gen personal finance in order to convert it into a 5E lesson plan. The particular 5E lesson plan that I am going to pull, let me clear some of my tabs, is this one. And this one was revised for CTE, which means Career Technology Education. It was revised for our department, and it still has the same 5 phases or steps: engagement, exploration, explain, elaborate, and finally evaluate. So we're just going to take a look at this particular 5E, which is different than the one that I did for Take Charge Today. However, this one is very much so observation, formal or informal friendly. So it's telling you instructions are based on Merlin State curriculum and Merlin core learning goals. So you may want to refer to those standards or those goals, that it is based for a 45 to 90-minute block for high school, that technology is a tool that is in the lesson. There is ongoing assessment, meaning that you are checking for understanding throughout your lesson. So those are just some of the things that jumped off the page to me. So right here, lesson readiness. So this particular format is really pushing, poking the bear and saying, look, how did you prepare your students for this particular lesson? What was the previous knowledge that was given? And you want to provide as much detail as you can. So I am going to use Next Gen Personal Finance to do this lesson for you today. But the key that I want you to take away from this is you want to provide as much detail as possible. And unfortunately, because of time, that component I cannot do for you. But you really want to focus on what your learning goals are and what you hope your learning outcomes will be. And you want that to be consistent throughout the lesson. So let's get into this and just take a look. And another thing that I do like about this one, if you are trying to really understand the art of lesson planning, they have put in the different domains for effective teaching. So domain 1, planning and preparation, meaning that you took time to make sure that you understood the lesson, you have all of the materials, you have clarity, it's balanced, it has diversity. Domain 1 is something that you want to spend a lot of time on when you're preparing for your lesson planning. Domain 4, professional responsibilities. Just that you are providing information and opportunities for families to get a hold of that information. And this particular one, remember when I told you that they can get very long? This is very lengthy. And there's a domain 2 and 3, which I may have passed in here, but those are also components as well that you would like to just make sure that you're addressing those things. So always take time to look through it. I know it's quite a bit of verbiage, but you do want to have an understanding of how the flow of your lesson should go. And as you are building, you are learning how these strategies implemented into your classroom will help you to become a better and more effective teacher. So let's get into this. Okay, here, as you can see, I'm logged into the Next Gen personal finance page. And like before, I am going to go to curriculum, or I can go to the financial literacy for teens website and pull directly from the curriculum and lesson pacing. However, today I am going to go right here and I'm going to pick a 9-week course. And it quickly went to it. As you can see, they have summative assessments and different things like that in there. And I am going to go to checking. And I'm going to go to how checking works. So as you can see here, they are hybrid ready. They have the lesson, which is linked in here. And I really do like Next Gen Personal Finance because they do give you everything that you need for virtual or hybrid teaching. The lessons are very easy to follow. And as you'll see, it's quite easy to hyperlink and put all of the detail into your 5E lesson plan template. So right here, we're going to take a look at view lesson, and then they also have a Nearpod, and then they also have a Nearpod Google Slide template, which if you don't have time to make your own templates for your classroom presentation or your virtual or hybrid presentation, that is a good template to use. But today we are going to take a look at the lesson. So initially when I click on this lesson, as you can see, it has learning objectives, and that is what I want to see. And then it has some standards here. That's also some things that I want to see. And then it has a student activity packet, which provides all of the templates for the students. And one of the things that I really like about Next Gen Personal Finance are those documents are Google Docs and Google Slides friendly, Google Sheets friendly, and you can literally just upload them into your Google Classroom for your students or Canvas. So these are really, really, really great tools to use. So let's just look at this lesson for a second because these numbers are important. Here we have a number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And for the most part, most of Next Gen Personal Finance's lessons are labeled as such. Then you have resources with hyperlinks. And if you hover over them, they will give you a slide page or a link to some article or something online. Then it gives you the instructions and the questions right here in the center and the time frame that this is expected to happen. So I think that this is so important when you're utilizing Next Gen Personal Finance, that you understand that it really is set up in a way for you just to very quickly go through and change this into your 5E lesson plan template. So I am going to go right here and pull my learning objectives. I'm going to do a copy and paste. This goes really fast once you begin to understand how this works. And I'm going to plop those right there. And that's done. Now I'm going to go to lesson readiness. And here I'm going to talk about whatever my scholars previously did. Scholars previously learned about, and I'm just going to format this. As I told you before, one of the big issues with using the template for 5E is just to make sure that it always stays formatted, because it'll kind of do whatever it wants to do, and you don't want that. Okay. And so I'm just going to put a couple of dots here. And so based on this, the lesson that I chose is how checking works. So just for the sake of demonstrating this to you, I'm going to say scholars previously learned about banking institutions. And right here, you're going to provide some previous learning objectives or learning outcomes, and you're going to bullet those things. So I'm just going to type this here because this is something that you would have to make the connection from what you previously taught. But for this particular type of format, they want to know. And I'm going to say from previous lesson, because we're going to say that this observation happened in the middle of a lesson, a unit, in the middle of a unit, I mean. Okay, so I'm going to give details too. I just want you to see, I'm going to say with details. And we're going to italicize that so that you will remember that that's what you have to do. Okay, and so we're still at engagement. And so here, for this particular engagement, it actually is step one. And there is a slide that's already done and it has a question here. Now, the issue is, how am I going to present this question? Maybe I might want to do a phenomenon board, or maybe I might want to do a Google Classroom question that is actually in the Google Classroom and the kids can answer it quickly. Or maybe I want to present this question to the class and do a whole group discussion. Either way, this is my opening question. This is my engagement piece, and I'm going to just copy and paste that there. Now I'm going to take a look at this question and determine what kind of question this is as far as depth of knowledge. So a checking account is most people's first exposure to the financial world. What questions do you have about checking accounts, or what would you like to learn about them? And so I honestly have to say that this particular question would be possibly a 2 or a 3, because they have to really make a prediction or think in terms of a little bit more critical. So, for the sake of maybe making it a little bit lower on the critical thinking skill level, I'm going to say it's a depth of knowledge question 2, and I'm going to identify that in my lesson plan. And I'm going to also tell you where I'm going to put this question at. And for the sake of time, I am going to use technology, and I'm going to discuss that because that is what they want to see in your 5E lesson plan. Use technology, and I'm just going to explain how question is located in the Google Classroom. And we're going to give students about and this, you, like I said, you want to give lots and lots of details. Essential question. I'm going to say scholars have 5 to 7 minutes to answer the, I always like to call my warm-up questions essential questions. Essential question. In Google Classroom. So as you can see, I am telling you exactly where they can find it. I am telling you I am using technology so that there is no doubt. I am telling you what the depth of knowledge is for this particular question. And I'm just pointing out everything to you. That is really what you want to do with a 5E lesson plan. You want it to jump off the page. You want it to pop. Because a lot of the times, administrators are not familiar all the time with your curriculum, especially if their background knowledge is something different. What they are familiar with is the format that we are supposed to be using to plan our lessons. So that is the engagement piece. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at exploration. And so, exploration is that key component of your lesson plan that gives students a little bit more to pull from the engagement. It supports the outcomes and the objectives, and it helps students and the teacher to reflect on the direction that you're going into. And so we're just going to take a look at this. Also, you want to pay attention to how you are differentiating this for all learners. Are your depth of knowledge questions different? Do you have a range of between levels between 1 through 4? Are you using different manipulatives or tools or modeling questions, or are you pairing students, or are you grouping students? Once again, are you using technology? These are all the things that you want to take into consideration when you're planning your lesson. But Next Gen Personal Finance actually makes it really easy, in my personal opinion, for you to be able to do these things. So right here, Next Gen Personal Finance always puts in literacy, which is something that I really, really, really like, and they hyperlink it. And so this is the exploration piece. And I'm going to show you how you can quickly make this exploration pop. So I'm going to go in here and it says complete the guide to checking accounts, and it tells you the instructions. Read the first few paragraphs of the article up through the section titled free checking accounts and how to qualify for one, and then answer the following questions. So here I'm going to take this section and I'm going to copy it and paste it into my format, and it's going to go right there under task. Wow, look at that. And then here, because I want to provide detail, I want them to know what my time frame is for this. And so once again, I'm going to say 5 to 7 minutes. I could even go 10 on this. And it's okay for you to modify times on your lessons when you have to. You know your kids, you know how long they need on a task, but you want to try to keep it in short incremental steps because that's where the differentiation comes in at as far as holding the attention span of your students. And so this is my time frame, and I am going to attach my resource here. Let me go into the lesson and snatch that out. I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to go right here and paste that in there. I'm going to link it in. That's my resource. And right here, I am going to go back to my lesson and just grab that title. And that's going to pull over the whole thing. And I mean, that's fine with me, but I just want them to be able to see what the kids are seeing. And that is what that is going to do for you as far as making sure that your kids, anybody that's looking at this can see exactly what you're doing. Okay, so I have my link there. I think I'm just going to change this even though I linked it there too. But I'm going to change that text color to black. I'm going to take that underline from under it and I'm going to bold it. Okay, and I'm going to let this be a flexible grouping activity, meaning that students are able to decide if they want to work in groups or not. And how am I going to word this? I'm just going to say student. I'm just going to say student grouping. I'm just going to say flexible. The students got to choose the students got to choose to work with a partner or small group of 3. I'm not going to have them work with, more than 3 for this. Okay. And then right here, I'm just going to add, because you want to provide all the details. Students worked in flexible groups to answer the questions. And to add my technology piece to this, I'm going to say on a jam board. And then that makes it a technology. I'm going to point that out again. So now I'm covering all of my bases. And to a sense of speaking, that has differentiation in it because, you might have a student that is a slightly weaker learner paired with a stronger learner, and together they will also be able to help each other. So that is the exploration piece. Okay. All right, here I'm going to put flexible. That's it. That's it. And we're going to just focus on that formatting, guys. I keep telling you guys, and it's so, the formatting is what it'll get you, because you'll say this thing is getting really long, but just know that you can edit and format along the way. Okay, so now we are here at explanation. Oh, and one of the things that I wanted to go back and show you is in this particular format, it does have here how many minutes. And so you can also go back through and put your minutes there. And quite often they do suggest time frames for you to do these activities on, but once again, like an engagement really shouldn't take longer than about 10 minutes or so. However, an exploration or I'm just going to put this exploration at 10 minutes. Exploration or an elaboration will take much longer, possibly up to 20 to 25 minutes. It depends on the activity and how you're breaking it up. So now we're going into explanation. Yay, explanation. Okay. And this can be whole class or student response. This could have been various type of groupings for exploration. And engagement quite often can be independent, but sometimes it can be group work. So we're here at explanation, and I'm going to say, well, first we'll see what's going on. So the next thing with next gen personal finance is usually they'll have like a video and another article piece. So you can kind of pick and choose between which one you want to do. And so, and also, I forgot to tell you, you can go through and decide like what depth of knowledge level questions these are, but we'll come back through and take a look at that later. So with next gen personal finance, they always have these really, really short, quirky type of videos, which I just absolutely love. And I don't want to skip this particular article, but sometimes it really just depends. I may only do one literacy piece. So today we're going to just do the video, and then we're going to go into the activity, and we're going to break that down this way. And even though they have suggestions, what I have found with the next gen personal finance, sometimes my kids just need a little bit longer to to do some of the questions and things. And so this one says the top tips on checking your bank statement. And so I am going to highlight this because it has several juicy questions in there after the little short video clip. And just like before, I'm going to copy and paste this in here. And these are the concepts that we are actually explaining right here. And once again, I am going to pull the resource. I'm going to put that up here. And I'm going to go back to the lesson. And I'm going to pull all of that. And I'm going to put that in there. I'm citing my resource, where I got it from. And the link automatically comes through. And my time frame with this, I'm going to probably make this about 10 minutes. I've done this with my students before, and they needed about 10 minutes to do it and for us to go back over the questions. And so here, I'm going to provide some documentation as to what we're doing. And I'm just going to drop in my directions. And like I said, 5E is just so much about formatting. Quite often, that's where a lot of teachers get really flustered. But if you just kind of get into it and you just know how you're going to set it up, that's fine. I'm going to drop some steps in here. And I'm going to say teacher will show the video clip. Now, this is just because I'm really familiar with the Next Gen Personal Finance. If you notice in the lesson plan, it does not give you all of those details for that. But I know that this is how it works. I show the video clip, I post the questions, the students answer the questions, and then we discuss the questions in some kind of way. And as you can see here, it says whole class or student response. And so that's what it's giving me. So teacher will show video clip. And I like to do chat box questions sometimes. So sometimes if I have students that are virtual, I like to put the question in the chat box. So I'm going to say students will answer the questions in the chat box, in the Zoom chat box. And that's that use of technology again. And then we're going to have a whole class discussion. And believe it or not, it's going to take anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes to do that. And so here I may go through and identify what my depth of knowledge questions are. So that is going to be a recall question from the video, which is a depth of knowledge question number 1. That's another depth of knowledge question number 1 that's going to come from the video. And then this one will probably be, because you have to do a prediction here, that'll be a depth of knowledge question number 2. And I'm just going to identify that I went through and pulled those. And that's something that an admin would be looking for, to see, if you have those things in there. And sometimes I like to even address when I have literacy in my lessons as well. So up here, I'm just going to go back and I'm looking for typos too as I go through. And I'm going to identify this as literacy. I think that's important to let teachers know that when you're putting literacy and math into your financial literacy lessons. This one, it says, as a young person, why is it important to have a free checking account if possible? I'm going to make that a depth of knowledge 3, because students have to really think in terms of a higher critical thinking skill, because why would I have free banking? Why wouldn't I pay for it? Like, kids don't even know that they can have free banking and all of those things. So that's something that you definitely have to dig a little bit deeper into. And I'm just going back and doing some formatting here. Bam. And I'm going to take this out because I put it here. Okay, so now we're getting somewhere, guys. We're getting somewhere, okay? So now we've completed engagement. We've completed exploration. We've completed explanation, and we've hyperlinked our resources in. So any administrator or collaborative teaching group can get directly to everything that you're doing. They can see how you're setting your groups up. And then we're halfway through this. Okay, now we are at the elaboration component of this lesson. And this is more so on the teacher. This is the teacher's guided practice. This is you teaching a group of students about whatever the subject is and the method that you're using to teach it. Sometimes I like to get my kids to teach the class some kind of way, but you as the teacher, you're still the one that is guiding that lesson. And so here we are at elaboration. So let's see what Next Gen Personal Finance has for us. So right here, it says a fine print checking account statement. And this activity says that it's 12 minutes. My students and I spent about 20 minutes doing this activity. I really enjoyed it. I'm actually going to open it up so you can take a look at it and see how they set their lessons up. And so their lessons come up in Google Docs. And I really like that because it allows for students to be able to have a copy right in front of them and to see it. And this activity is exactly what it is. It's a sample checking account statement. And there are questions, and we worked on this as a whole group. and we allowed for students to answer questions together. It was a really powerful opportunity to teach them how to understand the difference between withdrawals, deposit. How do you balance this out so that you're not in the negative at the end of the month? How can you tell what is a point of sale purchase? How can you tell what is an online purchase? How can you tell what was purchased by check? I mean, it's a wealth of knowledge in here. And I can tell you personally, I did not spend 12 minutes on this. I spent at least 20 minutes on this activity, and the students were able to go through. They had a lot of questions, and so it was amazing. And I just wanted to take an opportunity to show you what that activity was, and you can hyperlink it right into your lesson. And so I'm going to go here, and I'm going to put this down as the instructions. But I'm going to provide a lot of details here because quite often your elaboration component of your 5E lesson plan, that is you. That is you as the teacher. How did you make that pop? Okay, I got to make sure I did this right. Give me a second. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to put this down as in directions. But then I'm going to talk about me, the teacher. What am I going to do? Teacher guided practice. And here I'm going to break down for you how we will discuss everything pertaining to this particular lesson. So the number one thing that I will do, the underline for some reason. So let's take that out. Let's unbold that. The teacher will introduce the bank statement, point of discussion, and then I'm going to talk about all of the different things that we're going to discuss. Checks. I hope if I spell checks right. Checks. Balancing the statement. Online purchases. ATM use. Debits and credits. We're going to talk about all of that. And then the teacher, that is me, will guide students or scholars, I like to use the term scholars, in a whole class discussion. And there it is. And so that is what we're going to talk about. What we are going to be using, we are going to be using technology, and we're going to be modeling the concept by using a sample bank statement. And I'm just going to go back and add that in. Modeling the concept by using a sample bank statement. And then here, we're going to do it's the use of technology, because the students will be able to answer their questions in the Google Classroom. And I'm going to put assignment because it will be a template used for this. And I'm just going to drop that there. It's a template. Okay. So now I have directions, and I'm going to put the template that is being used right here. And some of these things don't necessarily really matter how you put all of these things in, but let me see. It's more so how you word them. And also, another little thing, if you really want to bump up your depth of knowledge questions, you may want to take them from the assignment and put them in there. And so I'm going to go here. I'm going to go to the lesson, and I'm going to take the lesson and pull it. And then this way they can click on it and see it for themselves, what we're working on in class. And a lot of admins really enjoy seeing exactly what we're doing because they can follow along. Financial literacy is so cool because everybody has to do it. And you just kind of want to go through and talk about how you're going to be scaffolding this. And then these are points of discussion, and I'm going to put / vocabulary because you do want to always point out what vocabulary terms you are teaching the students. And I'm just going to highlight that so that they can see it. I mean, that's a big component of it too. Just really pointing out, like, these are the things that we're discussing in class. And I'm just looking at it. And I'm going to say Google Doc because that's how that assignment will come up. And that is technology. And that's what you want to talk about right there too. I'm going to highlight that and italicize it. So no administrator can come and say, oh, I didn't see it. And like I said, if I really wanted to be fancy, I would go through them. If you're getting a formal observation, you want to be fancy. You may want to go through and pull a few of these questions out. I'm not going to do it now, but it depends. It depends. But this is a great example of just how to include what you're doing. And a lot of people will enjoy it. The kids really enjoyed this. And then also some highlights that you can use. The teacher will select a student to annotate. And that helps to add differentiation to your lesson because you're highlighting things as you go through and pull them out. I usually do ask a student to do that for me and circle different things and point arrows to different things and highlight things as I'm teaching. So we're now at the final part. So now we're here at evaluation. And so let's start talking about evaluations. Evaluation can really be anything that you need for it to be. One of the things that I like is to add different videos, to just add my own, just different spin on different things. Let's just take a look here and see what Next Gen Finance has here. Because sometimes they just have so many little golden treasures buried into their things. It's an extra video there. So here are a few things here. And they have some summative assessments. And you just kind of got to dig through and see what they have. So let's take a look at how checking works. So let's take a look at this one, a question of the day. Let's end with something fancy that they gotta look up. I like that. How many payment transactions does a consumer make in a typical day? And allow them to go ahead and maybe look that up, because that will not necessarily put them in a situation where necessarily they're reflecting on everything that you taught today, but it could be a situation where it's opening up opportunities for them to learn some new stuff. So we're going to plop that in there because I do like that. And maybe we'll make that a phenomenon board question so that the kids can do that. And if you don't know what a phenomenon board question is, I used to teach science, and it's something that they do that I really love, where they have the kids to ask questions or write down thoughts and opinions, and they put them on a little sticky note and they put them up on the board. And as they're going through the lesson and unpacking the lesson, they can go back and answer questions or go back and ask, more questions. I mean, I just really think it's really an awesome way to continue to just get kids to just do different things. So we're going to put that there. But I also like this. Let me close this box. I also like this last video clip. And we're going to add this last little video clip actually as our evaluation. So just give me a second, because I'm kind of, you got to kind of like playing around with it a little bit. So we're going to put that there, and I'm going to move this to my reflection piece. And we're going to move this here. And we're going to have them do some phenomenon board work. Give them about 5 minutes to do that. And then right here, we're going to give them, did I put my minutes here? Nope. I know this is going to take about 20 minutes. And I always like to plan over just a little bit because it gives you, space, wiggle room. And if you have to pick up the next time that you come back, I think it's fine. You don't want your lessons to be too short and the kids, don't have anything to do. And so here for the evaluation, we're going to have them to look at this video, and it's going to be an individual task. I'm going to have students look at the video on their own. And these are my instructions. Individual student task, individual scholar task. Just letting you know what it is. And these are my directions. My directions are here. And this is my question. Exit slip question. And this is a depth of knowledge question too, because it's kind of a compare and contrast type of thing. Like, what are the disadvantages? A listing. So I'm going to call it a depth of knowledge too. And 5 to 7 minutes, I always say just go ahead and go maybe about 10, because sometimes kids may have questions. You want to make sure that they have enough time to, answer everything and just get a better understanding of everything that's going on. And I'm going to plop the video resource in so that you can see it. And all of these video resources are also technology too. So it's not just videos, but it's just so many different things that you can do. And so this is why I like next gen finance, because to me it's the easiest way to do a lesson. I don't know how long I've been recording this, but honestly, I really truly do enjoy it. Now, I do think that to be on the safe side, you should always go back through and add as much detail as possible. I'm going to actually move this above the directions. Let me cut that. And as you can tell, I'm really enjoying this. I am a lot. And so that is the lesson. I put in my minutes. I'm going to give them about 10 minutes to do this. And I don't know if I'm at 60 minutes or not. You can always go back in and adjust your times, but just make sure your times are reasonable. And I'm going to highlight that. And just add as much stuff as possible. But this is ready to go in and talk to your admin about. And then these down here are just some different notes and stuff that they would actually be looking for in this particular thing. And they're going to be looking at, are the students able to repeat back to you different things that you're saying? Do they have a clear understanding? Are you taking the time as a teacher to make sure that they have an understanding? Are you checking for knowledge? But you just actually watch me put this together. And yeah, that's it. And then, like I said, go through and format. I normally go through and highlight it one last time. I know that this may be completely boring to somebody, but I have to be honest with you. Like I enjoy doing this. I enjoy doing this a lot. So, and I didn't at first. I hated it at first because I didn't understand it. But now I'm just kind of like, okay, this is what you need. Gotcha. And so, and just always look for opportunities to be better at it. And so that's that. I hope that this helps you out a lot. Some curriculums are really lucky to have these already prepared for them. Well, for us that have to prepare them, really it's not difficult once you learn how to read through your curriculum and see where things are placed and adjust the times accordingly. And that's that. Have a great day.